Hello, KeyForge players. This is Zach with KeyForge Public Radio, but you knew that already. What we're going to do here is, so first off, I was not at KeyForge Celebration. Long story short, wasn't able to go, but they've put the keynote speech up on YouTube. So what we're going to do is, I have not really taken a look at this thing. I think I saw maybe one or two screenshots from the keynote, but we're going to go ahead and play it here, and we're going to watch it together, and I'm going to give my thoughts live as we go. And there's a few advantages to doing it this way. One, we get to be together while this happens. I wasn't at KeyForge Celebration, so even if you were, I wasn't sitting next to you. Two, we get to pause and talk about it as we go, not something you can really do at the actual keynote without being rude. And third, I'm going to eat this slice of skillet cookie with a heaping pile of ice cream on it while I do it, because I want to. All right. KeyForge Celebration 2023 keynote speech. Here we go. That is a good new graphic. That's a very good new graphic. I dig it. It's some very nice motion graphics for the game. Sandworm art, Armadrone art, one of the Geistoid Shadis, I think. I love that Sandworm art as key art. It's very good. Ooh, bass. Music. Oh, houses. Oh, Geistoid. All right. They're going to tell us who all the houses are. Equidon. All right, so I know all of this. I mean, it gets us time to eat some ice cream. Got Mother Northel in there. Saurian. Melatorin Warrior. Ooh, crowd shot. See a couple of people I know in there. Ooh, a cat. Okay. Lots of motion graphics. Lots of set covers. Dramatic pause. Lots of B-roll. It looks like they got footage from the Shanghai Vault tour in there. That's good. And I'm assuming I just saw Florence as well. Oh, there was me in my video. Sith of Agmar. Ewok again, June. Team Sass. Look at all those invitees. Okay, that was cool. Okay, what I do have to say first off is that they gave some very good community highlights, like of community players, right? All those handshakes, showing off all the people. That was really cool. That was a very good focus for the video. So, big points right off the bat right there. Keynote.
Good evening.
And it's Christian T. Peterson.
Bonsoir. Guten Abend. Go Aften. I am Chris Peterson from Ghost Galaxy.
So, right there, nobody knew what he was doing. He's speaking his native language. He grew up a lot in the U.S. too. I cannot tell you where he is from without looking it up on Wikipedia. But you can see all the confused faces when he did that. That's pretty funny. Not in a great way, but that's pretty funny.
And I am really, really happy to be here. This is my Facebook business card. We are here at KeyForge Celebration 2023, also known as KeyForge Celebration or KFC 2. Thank you for being here tonight. Today we celebrate the first day of the first ever KeyForge World Championship. Yes!
Woo! 5 years in the making. 5 years in the
We're here
making.
to see cool previews of things that are happening in the future. I'll talk about some tonight. We're here to have fun activities, although some of them are also unnerving. I know for people here that are for the World Championship, there were some anxious moments today, but we really appreciate you coming all this way to compete. Of course, mostly important.
I wonder who wrote that, because fun activities is something you plan for third graders on a field trip. Fun activities is not really an appropriate phrase for a whole bunch of mostly 30-something people, some younger, mainly dudes, but got a couple other people in the mix, which is great. Fun activities, yeah, that's fun activity. We've got fun activities. So many fun activities. Coloring pages.
To us is that you're all here because we love you, and we hope that everyone gathers under one roof at least once a year to celebrate the thing we all can gather about, KeyForge. We're so honored to have you here. There are so many of you that have come from so far away. Very few of you are actually local. Oops, can you hear me? Okay. Are very local. Hello? Hello. It's going in and out. There are many that are come from all over the United States, from Canada, from Europe, Asia. Thank you for coming all this way. We're happy to have you here in our home. And it's so much easier for us to do a great event here in little old Roseville, Minnesota. Hello? Their Geistoids are getting into my microphone. Okay, so let's talk about some KeyForge stuff. There's one sort of thing that I think you guys need to know, and I'm not asking for sympathy here.
One thing we need to know.
What I'm about to say is a little controversial, but I'm happy to defend it to whomever wants to argue.
If you're ever giving a speech and you think, even if you think or are sure what you are about to say is controversial, don't introduce it by saying, what I'm about to say is probably controversial. Just say the thing. Let it stand on its own. You sound cheesy and defensive right off the bat if you lead it this way.
With me on this, and that is I've published hundreds, thousands of games, and KeyForge is not only the best, but it's also by far the hardest game to publish in the planet. There is no game that quite as much goes into as KeyForge.
Okay, so the best really was just one half of the bread on the compliment sandwich. It's also the hardest to publish. Here's the thing. I will probably be finding some things to criticize about what Christian Peterson talks about here, but I think he's right. From everything I've seen, everything I've heard from the team, everything the game has gone through, everything I have seen of how the game was made, and all the processes, and gosh, just how the game fits into an organized play plan, that sort of thing. I think I've got to just straight up agree with him that it's one of the hardest games to publish on the planet. Don't want that to be, an excuse if you make an honest mistake, but I think it is. I think it is.
Okay, so we are so proud of what has been achieved with KeyForge, and I want to take you through some of those elements of what has happened in the last year. Does anybody know what's going on with this? Okay. All right. No Geistoids in this one. Sweet. So I want to talk a little bit about the stuff that's happened in this year since I last stood on this stage and talked to many of you fine players. It's been a year in the crucible, a year of doing what we love the most, working on the hardest game in the world, KeyForge. So let's go through a number of different steps. What's happened? We've had game development. Since last summer, we all suddenly got this game served to us. We've said we've got to make this, we've got to live up to the legacy of this game. We've got to keep designing a great game. So we had to recover and gather all of the FFG assets. Now they had worked hard on a couple of sets, but things were kind of in a shambles, so we had to gather all the notes, gather all the art, gather everything to put it together. We had to build a development team, and that's happened. We've been really happy with the crowd of people here. For example, Luke Olson in the back. You want to wave to everybody?
That's a feel good. That's a big feel good, right? They hired Sky Jedi. Dude knows this game inside and out. He's never purported to be an amazing player, but he knows the game inside and out. He's created so many tools for the game, so he knows the bones and the guts of KeyForge. He knows everything that goes into it working. Right? So I'm really happy that Luke is there. That's a good hire. That's a good hire.
Luke was here as a player last year at this very event, and he has since joined the development team and is the lead developer on KeyForge. Luke is a particularly great find for us because he's also very savvy on the technical side.
Did they just call Luke lead developer on KeyForge? It's probably an update from the original job posting, because Michael Hurley was kind of lead developer on all things. I guess Michael Hurley, perhaps more in a general leadership role. I'm sure he's still developing, but if Luke is lead developer on KeyForge, that means he went from being a fan making stuff to lead developer on this Richard Garfield game real quick. So, hey, good for him.
Which is crucial in this game. So we also incubated playtesting processes and resources for that. We embraced KeyForge Adventures as a product type, try to wrap our head around how are we going to keep making those, and are those going to continue to be fun and innovative. We built a future product roadmap, because as we know, when you
would love to see that.
Play a game like KeyForge, you want things to be planned
Okay, this
out,
is gone.
New stuff to
Sad.
come out. You want us to be concerned about what should this game look like in the future. So
Okay.
we had to get
Future
way
planning.
ahead
That's great.
of ourselves, and we had to execute that development. And so we did. So lots of stuff happening in the game development world, and one of the things that we get asked a lot is like, what are you planning on doing in terms of a release cadence? What is how often?
They've never. I don't think they committed to anything publicly before this.
So I'm happy to tell you that we're going to put out a KeyForge set twice a year.
Yep.
In the
Okay.
fall,
So the FFG model.
in the spring,
Fall in the spring.
in the fall, 2 sets a year.
Amber skies. I'm excited.
Okay. We're, of course, extremely excited that we got Winds of Exchange out. And I think I need to tell you that when we were here last year, we had such an enormous road ahead of us in terms of software to build, teams to build, processes to invent, processes to reinvent. And so the amount of construction work that we did to get Winds of Exchange out have now cleared the road, although we all know that they are, the road sometimes is curvy, but it's definitely cleared most of the obstacles for us to really get
that.
long-term process development.
Winds of
going.
Exchange, lots of hard work
So
to
we're
figure
gonna be
stuff
putting
out, and
next
then
year,
once they
of course,
figured it out, they can
Reminders
repeat.
and Ember Skies.
I get it.
Manufacturing of KeyForge is not a simple matter. Normally when you have a game, you provide the factory with a file, and the factory will then produce 5,000, 3,000, 10,000 copies of that file. Of course, with KeyForge, that's not true. So you need different kind of machinery to handle this, because we need to make every single deck a unique printing, okay? So digital printing is required. For us then to restart it, and to restart it in a way that we thought should be done here in the US, where we could control the product and where we could do fun things, so we can rapidly develop fun things for you. We had to understand what was involved with that, source new materials, expand the factory. Something as simple as printing is not necessarily limited to, or something as complicated as digital printing, KeyForge, you also have to understand that there are things we have to do, like how are files received, where are they stored, how are they ripped. When you have a big, when you have your printer at home and you're printing one page,
Yeah,
there'll be
there's a
couple of
lot that
seconds
goes into
between
that.
where the printer is really
In marketing, I've worked with shipping things off to digital printing before, and there is complicated process of handling those files.
All suddenly it becomes a real scalability issue, and that's something we had to solve, and we did get solved. We had to develop processes for delivery and storage of the deck, of custom decks and playmats. So one thing we pride ourselves on is to be able to make custom decks that you may have gotten in here if you participated in our crowdfunding campaign. Now those aren't necessarily easy to do, but so we had to find processes how to make those, and also of course how to put them together to get to everybody.
Yep.
That was quite an effort. We did manage though to produce Winds of Exchange in 10 different languages that were produced in a
or nearly
period. And did everybody get their stuff?
Some of it was a bit rough.
There we go. Oh God. I'll get the customer service out for you if you didn't get it yet.
It's just Jeremy. That's the only person.
So
I'll get customer service out. It's one person.
So in terms of manufacturing,
or marketing coordinator.
To show you what we're doing and how far along we've gotten, we created this little video that we're going to show to everybody, okay? So unfortunately, I know that by now you'll have had enough of me. Unfortunately, you're going to get a little more of me now.
All right, a Christian C. Peterson video.
Hi, everybody. This is Chris Peterson, CEO of Ghost Galaxy. We are here in the Ghost Galaxy offices, and today I thought it would be a great time to take you through a tour of KeyForge and everything that's going on.
Some inspiring
Last year,
cubes.
I took you through a tour of the very beginning stages
Inspiring.
where we were running tests in our factory. Much has happened since.
That was very
But let's
exciting.
start in the
That was
actual
very
offices
exciting.
where the real magic begins with a click of a button. Follow me and I'll
All
show
those
you
test
something.
decks showing proof of life.
Lucas is one of our ForgeFire operators. And Lucas right now is actually working in ForgeFire. Surprise! And he's going to render a KeyForge deck for you. So, it's been done. Button has been hit. KeyForge deck is...
So, giving him the job title of ForgeFire operator that's kind of interesting, because I'm sure this poor man does more than click button, which is exactly what that makes it sound like. Also, Jeremy was in the shot also getting footage, which is funny.
Rendering, amalgamating all that juicy KeyForge stuff, putting together a deck. So, in order to see how a deck is made, let's go to someplace much more fun and rowdy, the factory. Poof! We've arrived at the factory. So, as you know, KeyForge is made by our Artiforge factory.
They're, whatever camera and post-processing they're doing is doing, it looks like artificial blurring around Christian, and some of it's a little messy, which is distracting, at least to somebody who works around video somewhat.
We're going to go and see what they're doing. Follow me. Come on.
Watch the edge of his glasses. It's blurred like the background.
So this machine here, big HP visual press, is what actually creates the cards.
Very cool, very expensive piece of machinery.
Puppy here, which actually coats the cards and make them smooth and nice to play with. Once
Look at all that.
Printed, we put them on obviously big pallets of paper.
Beautiful.
And they get rolled out for finishing. All right, so next step in the KeyForge process is that we got to cut all those sheets printed next door. So we use this big cutter to do that. Let me show you how all about that.
Yep.
Cutting.
Beautiful.
What's next?
Beautiful.
Let's see. This is a cello wrapper. This is what we take the actual bundle of cards. I'll show you a card bundle. This, for example, would be a bundle of cards here. One deck will be put into this machine. Out the other end comes a nice, beautiful, gorgeous, shiny deck. All right, so
Look at that.
Wrapped.
Very nice.
What's also really cool is that, you know, every KeyForge deck has a little barcode. We have a system here that actually scans every single deck to make sure that no two same decks escape the factory. All right.
Again.
This next machine is called a flow wrapper. It literally flows wrap around deck cards. So I have these beautiful cards right here. I'm going to put them into these little slots.
Those look like menagerie decks?
And that's making some decks.
Nice. Oh, yep, menagerie decks. Very cool.
Grim reminders. It is happening. It is really happening. This is actually final, finished Grim Reminders product getting ready for market.
Very
Last
cool.
year when I showed you the tour here, we were about a good 5 or 6 months away from true manufacturing. We were running tests. We were running machines. We're getting everything up and running.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
We are rolling, baby. This is KeyForge.
Nice. Very encouraging. Good to show this. I love it. I love it.
Once they're wrapped, it's time for the market. And that pretty much completes our little journey of a KeyForge deck for today. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we'll see you at a KeyForge table soon.
So something really impressive about this, we're about halfway through here, but about this part of the video of walking through this whole production thing, and a lot of you know this already if you've been a KeyForge super fan, if you've watched stuff like this from Ghost Galaxy before, is that the fact that they are doing all of this stateside in not a huge room. They have one extremely expensive piece of machinery, a couple of operators, people with the packing and the shipping, where it goes everywhere from the file to a produced display. Excuse me. That is huge. That gives them a level of vertical integration. That gives them a little level of total control over, I mean, it's not true vertical integration, don't come at me. But that gives them a big level of control over the whole process, over fine tuning. They're not having to pay a totally separate company, and so it's easier to make money on the decks when they're completely made in-house. So this whole thing, like, yes, it's walking through, and I've taken tours of stateside printing factories before as a part of my job as a marketer. So all this could be like, okay, yeah, big printer, that's cool. But the fact that it's here and that they have all this control over it is amazing, and it gives them flexibility. It gives them profitability, which we want them to have. It gives them flexibility. They can do it's really powerful way to set it up, and most people don't do it because it's way more expensive to produce stateside labor wise, but they found a process to print this game here in the States that makes it viable for them. And so hopefully this process sticks around, stays profitable, stays agile for them. So I think it's really cool. I love this tour because it shows this is really an innovation. Everybody's printing in, China or sometimes Germany, but they're here printing stateside here in the States. Now I know that's still an ocean or two away from many of you KeyForge fans, but if it's in their home base, then it offers all those advantages. So very cool. So big props to Chris Peterson and the team for pulling this off. This is not cheap or simple. So huge props, huge win.
Have fun. See you in the crucible. All right. More of me now. Of course, this is something we developed for all of the very kind and patient people that helped back the recent campaign for Grim Reminders. And as you can see, whereas last year we had this mountain to overcome, now the process has been going. We're advancing into the future. We are developing sets. We're thinking about not just the next set, Ember Skies, but the set after that. Okay, and so we have to make sure that we deliver both now.
Would have loved if he accidentally spoiled that set name if it's locked in or drafted.
Maybe my other mic is interfering. So I'll talk to you about a few other things, and we'll have a few things to talk about at the very end here. The first we should talk about is Forge Fire development. You want to? Hello. Aha, there we go. Perfect. All right, so Forge Fire development was an extreme crucial bit of Forge Fire because no deck can be born without being emerged through the algorithm. We were able to rebuild the core KeyForge engine in
It's impressive.
We were able to get it imported.
It had never been done before FFG.
Feedback has just got me set back here. Anyway, we were able to import and check all prior KeyForge cards.
Wow.
We're talking about thousands of cards had to be re-imported into the engine.
Yep.
Double-checked by hand.
It hadn't been done before FFG built something, and then they had to build it again. I mean, that's a lot of work. It's not like video games where you can iterate on something somebody else has done.
Part of it was an algorithm, and part of it was done manually inside of a InDesign software. Okay, now with Forge Fire, everything is synthesized and digital. So we have to create a whole new way for people to translate and get those translations into Forge Fire itself. Okay, that was quite a bit of work. We had to add advanced functions, such as anomalies. We have to have custom decks and playmats, unchained decks,
Yep.
menagerie.
Connecting the KeyForge decks designed in ForgeFire to all the sorts of things they would be connected to if you want to export custom deck name. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yep.
We'll talk about the Master Vault. Okay, so because we don't want to have a hard game to make, we also want to have a hard game to maintain. We want everybody to have access to the Master Vault, where of course they can register their decks, they can maintain their collection, and so we spent a lot of time moving what had been from the Fantasy Flight Asmodee Master Vault over into our own infrastructure. We had to migrate the data of over 7 million decks from that architecture over to the new architecture. We had to execute account transfers of 250 or 225 plus thousand player accounts. I hope everybody here has an account.
That's a lot.
If you don't, sign up today. We had to optimize server loads, so sometimes you would have gotten very, very slow deck results. Our engineers were able to make that 6 times faster.
This is, this is all the sort of thing that like seems vague and not too easy to understand to people like me, but I know it's crazy complicated, right? I mean, enhancements data, huge win.
We're able to build alliance deck supports into
That's
the
big.
Master Vault.
So you can build your alliance in the Master Vault.
Deck ownerships and related transfers,
Yep.
which is going to be something that can allow
Lots
us to
of
do a lot
wins.
very cool things.
Lots of wins.
And of course, we were able to go tournament integration with Playstyle. So you guys all today integrated with Playstyle in the fact you registered your decks and you ran a tournament that runs inside the software we call Playstyle. So for the OP itself, you know, we started off the year, we were very ambitious. I was probably too ambitious last year at this very show. But we still managed to do an awful lot on the OP side.
He was extremely too ambitious. They missed on a lot of what he said they would do that they did not get to do. There was a lot of big misses with what he way overpromised last time.
We were able to do 7 vault tours. Okay, thanks for participating in them. Really appreciate your patience, particularly early on.
7 vault tours.
Learning our way through.
I'm glad those overseas ones that happened, at least one in Europe, one in Asia. Like, my goodness.
We did a pre-release weekend event for Winds of Exchange when it released in August and July.
That was super janky, and the pre-release pack came with a 2020 chain tracker from the FFG days. Those were a miss. There was no fun. There was no excitement. They were tough to get. That might have been an Asmodee. That might have been Asmodee's fault. But the old chain tracker was not a good call. Was not a good call.
We did our first ever KeyForge World Championship. Thank you for coming. And of course, we also did all development we needed to do to launch the Playstyle tournament format. So the 2LO format that you've been playing here is a reflection of a lot of experience for people that have run game tournaments for a very long time. And so we had to develop that basically from scratch, put it into Playstyle, and now it is functioning most of the time. It's still undergoing some testing, obviously.
Yeah, it was not great to be the beta testers at Philadelphia. It was really would have loved Playstyle to be a little more fine-tuned, or they just used something that did not give as many errors and hiccups as Playstyle. I'm happy with 2LO. I'm perfectly happy with it. I've heard there are some complaints. I don't have those documented quite yet, but yeah, I hope the app part really, if the app part is still like in development and getting major hiccups in 2024, like that's just going to be sad.
And we have a player and deck registration via Playstyle. So all these things were achieved in the last year. So then the question we can ask ourselves is, what's next? So we've taken a lot of this rubble and furred our way through the mountainside, and we're starting to speed up, and things are going well. But there's a lot of things to do still. So one of the things that I think probably comes up the most, that is, how are we going to support community and retail organized play program? Okay?
Yep.
This is a very important thing to do. So how do you do that? Well, it's easy, right? You just put together some kits, you talk to some retailers, you send them out stuff, and everything is good. Well,
yeah.
not so much.
No, a bit more than that.
There
It has to be
unfortunately,
tailored to
it's a lot harder
KeyForge,
than that,
right?
And if you want to do it well.
Yeah, for sure.
We
Full agree.
would love to do it well. So we have to think about what are the prerequisites for a great local OP program.
Mm-hmm.
And in my view, a lot of things have to be put into place prior to launching such a program. For example, we need to make sure that retailers that want to participate
I do agree.
know that there's going to be consistent new sets available.
I totally agree with this, and as much in the past few months as I was harping for more local P news, I get why it wasn't launched yet, right? New consistent sets into market. New sets are exciting. New sets have hype. New sets bring players back. I get why that is absolutely needs to be a prerequisite to local organized play, right? I just would have loved any news because at this event last year, they announced organized play packs that like communities could just buy apart from a store. And then we heard nothing about that for a year. So, yeah, I agree with this. The way they tried to launch some packs, announced packs last year, like local play packs, was not great, but I 100% agree with this and agree it would be a reason to not like try to launch a full program yet. Totally agree. Carry on, Chris.
That is not something that they trust us necessarily to do.
That's right.
Because KeyForge had some hiccups
Yep.
on that accord. So there's some trust we have to build up in that sense. We have to establish clear distribution lines.
Yep.
Now, we have sold a lot
This
of
is all the
games
boring
before,
stuff
but
that
the
can
new
still
company,
break
Galaxy's
a
first
game when
real
it goes
product
wrong,
was
right?
Exchange. So
Star
we had to
Wars
get that-
Destiny.
Clear up all the distribution hurdles. We had to get it distributed internationally. We had to have international partners. We had to make sure the distributors bought enough so the retailers could get enough. You know, these are not
Yep.
sort of things that happen overnight or that we can take for granted.
Yep, for sure.
Then we have to have a line of communication from publisher to retailer. We have to tell retailers what we're doing, invite them to participate.
Yep.
We also have to have a way to set up and inform players about local events. Because if you're going to go have
Store
a show on
finder,
a
stuff
local
like
event
that.
at a retailer, it would be really great if somehow you could tell people about it. Okay, so that's some infrastructure that's some infrastructure that we want to put into place.
Yep.
Okay, and we also have to have, many retailers expect there to be a high-level aspirational tier of tournament service. That is something that we think that we could achieve this year, and so that is why we have been so aggressive on doing Vault Tours and Nationals, and of course trying to do, as best as we could, a really great tournament format. So those are all things that we now think we have cleared away. So one of the key things that's going to happen.
Playstyle public launch this December.
New functions that Playstyle is going to be adding. You only know Playstyle right now from the tournaments that you've seen. You will hopefully all have participated and been able to see how you can record your matches on your phone, etc.
Yep.
But Playstyle is actually much
great.
more than that, and we've been working hard
For all the jank, that UI stuff is fantastic.
So one thing will be retail registration. Allow retailers to register.
Excellent.
Become an OP site. It'll
Very
allow
good.
Event registration. So
Yep.
either the retailer or trusted community members can then register events on that site.
That's great.
There's going to be a retailer and event finder widget.
Yep.
So that can go on Keyforging or that anybody.
Pretty
can put on a retail
standard
site
stuff. Can't take it for
that
granted. It's not always
promote
simple, but standard.
Those
Yep.
particular events.
And this sort of thing.
They will be able to be retail OP kit orders inside Playstyle.
Okay.
Okay.
It better happen. This is what they said
And
last year.
Every
That
event
part.
will be able to be integrated directly with a tournament feature. So the very tournament feature that we're using at this event will be in the hands of community organizers and retailers.
Love it.
To hook up to an exact event. That means you'll be able to register decks.
Now they just have to
you'll be able
deliver.
create, casual tournaments, whatever kind of tournament.
Which is
you want.
hard. I get it. It's a lot of work.
So all these things had to be in
There just
in
wasn't
play
delivery on a lot of
to
things said last year.
justify the effort
Gotta
we want
communicate
to
well.
make to give local OP support.
Yep.
So for local OP support, what are we going to do exactly? Okay, so these are our current plans. Number one, we're going to have store championships, and the retailer signups will be this December. Okay?
Okay. Store championships for Q1 starting in December.
The actual store championship will take place, we believe, in March. Then we're going to have a casual play kit. And that casual play kit will also be available at Q1. This casual play kit will be available to clubs and retailers. Yep.
All right. Casual play kit, clubs and retailers. Like it.
A small pack that retailers can participate and get to facilitate and organize any kind of organized play they want on a continuing basis. So it's not necessarily specific event driven. It's just
now they say kit. I really want to know what the ideas are what are the things that are included in there, because that's what makes or break the attractiveness to new players, to excite old players. Hello, cat. And whether it's a prizing system, a ticket system for prizes, get some tickets traded in for a blinged out deck, because we know they can do deck copies now. Gosh, is it a deck with alt art versions of cards, a deck with full art treatments? KeyForge, it both has the challenge that you can't lean on a lot of classic proven organized play giveaways like foils, right? Like armory kits and Flesh and Blood. There's a lot of stuff you can't lean on that could just be an automatic win by picking it in another TCG. But I think that when the creativity and the business practicality come together in these kits, I think there is a full dozen really amazing ideas that could make these kits unlike anything else, because KeyForge is unlike anything else. So I love that they're putting timelines on these things. I hope they hit them, and and I hope what they're filled with is really awesome. Maybe they're going to spill the beans on what they're filled with a bit here, maybe not. But that's really the biggest part. Now, them getting there, huge win. If there's actually something in store and I can say, hey, look, this game is alive, here is the kit, like, that's a huge win, whatever they put in there. And then there's another level of success in knocking it out of the park if they really get innovative in an appropriately KeyForge way with what's in there.
Sources that they can get in order to support every week events that are bubbling up from their communities. 2, we're going to have a major storyline event. That's a sort of a secret thing I'm very excited about.
Classic TCG.
Next year.
Classic TCG thing, a major storyline event. I want to see what that looks like. I really want to see what that looks like in KeyForge.
The week
super cool. Very excited.
We are going to be supporting a pre-release event. We did that with Winds of Exchange, and we're going to continue to do that. So there will be a pre-release kit. We're going to generate
Wrong 2.
set. That's going to be
should be TO, not TOO. But yeah, pre-release event. Great. Love it. Make it a better kit than the Winds of Exchange one, please, without leftovers.
Awesome. So that is the kind of the plans, I think, and the bullet points that I think expresses our answer to the most urgent question that most of the players have is, how do I get support locally? So this is what we're going to do.
Love it.
Okay, and that was my main talking point this evening. I have a few other sort of fun facts for you guys. Number 1 is that while you guys have all been sitting in here, we've actually been putting out some cool stuff outside those doors. Okay, what we've done is that we now know the 8 finalist decks that are going to be in the World Championship. The 4 Alliance decks and the 4.
Oh, I heard about this. They printed those posters of those decks.
Go study those decks. They're going to be really fun.
It's very cool. They turned the top decks for each Alliance and Archon into posters. That was very cool.
You guys get to get rid of me really soon, I'm happy to say. The other thing that we're going to have is we have something really grim for you soon. So, pretty close to Halloween, I guess. Right after this little presentation, we're going to be doing probably the most fun event of the show, at least the least anxious event, I should say. You're all going to need this ticket right here that came in your bag, okay? So here in a minute or two, we're going to turn on the lights, and then you can go down into the HQ here and you can register for the Nightfall event. You're going to need this ticket to get some fun things.
Fantastic.
Okay? The other thing was that we thought we would take some Q&A tonight, but then realized that we would impinge on time too much. So I would love to take, the whole team, including myself, would love to take questions from you guys and try to answer them to our best of our ability. We're going to be doing that tomorrow, right after the awards ceremony. Okay, so we're going to bring up all the developers, tournament organizers, and myself will be here. We'll be up here, and anybody can ask any questions they want. But I'm not going to keep you from the GRIM event any longer.
Cool. And then they released to the Nightfall event. So a good keynote, well, there wasn't anything huge and flashy, right? They didn't dive into any super innovative organized play kit inclusions, no details on the storyline event. They gave some good timelines, hopefully that they can hit. It's all about under promise, over deliver, right? And last year they over promise, under delivered on what they put up on this screen, right? Not saying they didn't do a lot of hard work, not saying they didn't have a lot of wins. There was just a lot of bad feelings caused in the community by the disconnect between what Christian T. Peterson put up on that screen and then the reality of the next 12 months. That being said, sometimes the tone in longer Ghost Galaxy articles written by Christian T. Peterson, the tone can often be defensive. I think his tone was really good in here to walk through all of the ups and downs of what they've been working on, what they've been accomplishing, because they have done a lot. They have done a lot. They're accomplishing a lot with KeyForge, and if they really have accomplished all of this well and are planning for KeyForge to prosper and be as big of a game as it can be, then all of this is setting up well. That being said, this is just a presentation. It was a good presentation, but it's just a presentation because, I'm excited to see what ends up, in local organized play. I know they haven't announced what they're doing with Vault Tours yet, whether they're having them. They might have them. They might not. I know they're reviewing that as we speak. So I'm excited. This was a good keynote. There wasn't anything overhyped, which was really good, and just enough sprinkles of reasonable excitement, which I think was the right move after 2023, because here's the thing. KeyForge, the game and the community, so good. The game is still amazing. The last time I went to locals last week, I played 3 games, and it was like board gamers' dream. You always want engaging games that are back and forth, feel really interesting decisions. All 3 games of Sealed Winds of Exchange I played were just mind-blowingly good. Lots of deep decisions, lots of fun. Was playing against old players who were playing fast and intelligently, newer players who were figuring stuff out, and the community is amazing. So if they can, all that stuff, all that's locked in. So if they can bring up the quality around the getting organized play out along with regular set releases, and they can get that, I think this game really has a chance to grow. And I really think, I appreciated how he said this. I really think KeyForge is the hardest game to produce, because you can't just do what works for every other TCG. It's a completely different beast, and usually what happens is somebody does the completely different beast sort of well once and get some initial momentum because they're the first, right? At least this is kind of a paradigm shift within card games, so it's not like the Magic the Gathering where you just get all the momentum for being first. But then people often, iterate on you and make the next better version. But right now, KeyForge can be its own next better version, and because sets are developed, mostly independently, they work with the same systems. You can actually iterate pretty well. You can iterate pretty well within sets as you go forward. So it's a big challenge. It was a good keynote. I think it was the right tone to take. Big fan of it. Great job, Ghost Galaxy, Christian T. Peterson. However much my stamp of approval means, you've got it on that keynote. Don't forget to listen to KeyForge Public Radio. We're going through BDQ's House Rolls, Bouncing Death Quark, the old podcast that gave us a lot of great strategy and then disappeared. So we're going back through the house rules over on the podcast. We've got Support House and Burst House coming up soon. And then I'm going to have a special guest on the podcast to talk about the 2023 season recap. I've got a blog up on the KeyForge Public Radio blog, keyforgepublicradio.com/blog, recapping a lot of meta stats about the season, and then we're going to dive into a whole lot of chatting about that with a very special guest coming up here on the podcast. Thanks for joining me, and remember, the most important part of KeyForge is the person across the table.